just going to wait and see if I see an eyeball, and then I know we're working, we're connected, and then I will start blethering away. Yep, there we go, first eyeball. Good morning, first eyeball. I hope that you're well today. Happy Wednesday. It is Art with Mrs. C today, and yeah, I've got a really, really nice one for you today. Alex, would you sit down? You're distracting me standing. Okay. Okay, so I hope that you're all well. If you are from my Dumbarnie Primary School, hello, it's great to see you. Today we have got something really, really quite cool lined up for you. If you're not from Abernethy, you're probably just taking part just because you fancy doing it, and it's not part of something that you've been asked to do. So thank you for that. That actually means quite a lot. So in my school, Dumbarnie, this week we've been focusing on being far away from home. So last week we were doing here, this week we're doing there, next week we're doing, I don't know what the next week is. Here, there, and everywhere. I think it's everywhere. Anyway, I'm rambling. So this week I set my boys and girls a challenge to think about living in a big inner city. Okay, something that we have got no idea about, living in Bridgeburn and living in Abernethy where we live. We're quite a rural setting. So I want you to create a graffiti tag. Okay, so graffiti artists always have a tag that they sign their name. This is back to front at home, but you're going to create something a little bit like this. Okay, now the great thing with this is you don't need a lot of resources. You only need a piece of white paper if you want to go white. You don't have to go white. You need a sharp pencil. Okay, sharp pencil. And I would keep a pencil sharpener close by because you'll probably need to keep sharpening this. You will definitely need a rubber or an eraser, so you'll need to go get one of those, and a good one as well. And you will also need a black pen. Now ideally you want a permanent pen so that it doesn't smudge, but if you don't have one of these, a normal pen will work well, but just remember that when the ink is wet, try not to smudge it. Okay, so be really, really careful if you're not using a Sharpie. We have actually got thin one as well, but you don't have to have that, just one's fine, so I've got thick and thin. Also what you'll need to have are a couple of coloured pencils. Ideally 4 is the minimum. 3 or 4 actually, why I'm saying 4. 3 or 4 is the minimum, but I've got a good variety here because I know that Mr. will argue with me about the colours that I chose from. Okay. Also they need to be sharp, so keep sharpening them, okay? Alex has got his hand up.
Did you use those for that?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I used those for that. I did that one yesterday in the evening. Right. Hello. Are we ready to get started?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I've got a wee checklist here, right, sitting next to me because this isn't actually something that I've done very often. So I'm just trying to remember the steps. Right. First things first, with your pencil and with your paper, decide what way up you want your paper first of all. You're going to write your name. Now your name doesn't necessarily have to be your full name. So for example, Alexander over here will probably just go for Alex, or he might even go for something even shorter. Okay, so a tag doesn't necessarily need to be your name. It might just be your initials. Okay, so I've obviously done this as C, but for this one I think I'll do my initials. Okay, so we'll go for LJC. So, in the middle of your page, I want you to sketch out lightly, just using normal pencil lines, not thinking about bubble lighting at the minute, your letters of your tag. Try and keep them quite close together, don't have them miles apart. And the third tip is, if you are going for a long name, space them out properly. So for example, if Alex did want to go for Alexander, I would always put over at the left hand side the first letter of my name. At the right hand side, I would put the last letter of my name. I would work out in the middle what the middle letter is and pop that in there. And it just helps placement a little bit better. It's far better than starting A, L, E, X, and then realising you're running out of space and squeezing in the rest of them. Okay, so you end up with a word that goes wide and then it gets narrower at the end. It's very hard to read as well. So space them out really, really nicely. So I'm just going to go for, and I'm going to do this really lightly, but for you to see at home, I'm going to press a little bit harder than I want you to press, just so you can see what I do. So Alex, decide what it is you want to write.
Oh, am I going to use a 5B then?
You can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter.
What should I use?
Just use choose whatever you want. Just a pencil.
Okay.
Just a pencil. Just a pencil. So I'm going to go for L, G, and C. So I'm just writing this normally, and I'm sketching it so it's a nice light line. If you look at this closely, there's lots and lots of mistakes in it. It's not a solid line and hoping for the best. I've taken my time to sketch that. So this is going to be back to front for you guys, so I'm really, really sorry about that. But that's all I'm asking for you in step 1. So you're just sketching out whatever the word is, or the name, or the tag is that you want, just using nice light lines. Now the reason we're using light lines is we're going to have to rub these out. And if you, flip over, draw a line that's a bit like this, and try and rub that out, I'll show you the difference. Try and rub that out, this happens. It doesn't go. No matter how hard you try, it doesn't go. And in fact, if I run my finger across it, I've actually dented the page because I've pressed so hard. So it's really important that you get into the habit of sketching before you outline properly. Sketch. Because a sketch line, that's it there, vanishes. Okay? So it's a really, really, really important habit to get into. Now, when you're sketching, your hand will be, the place of your hand will be halfway up the pencil. You'll use your whole arm, not just your wrist, and you'll be a bit more freer than you would be if you were doing handwriting in school. We actually are in about step 10, going to use our hand as you would do in class if you were writing, okay, for colouring in, for shading in. But at the minute, I just want you to use a sketchy line. Okay, just going to be on Alex. I've got Alex with me today. He's still not back at school. He's in P6, so he's taking part today, and it's great because it helps me realise how you might be getting on at home, because he has never done it before, so he's doing it in live time. Are you going for your, oh, you're doing your Alexander Joseph Cochrane, he's going for AGC. Hiya Abby, I hope you're well today. You're joining as well from Abernethy today. Fabulous. You'll like this one, Abby. This is an awesome one. And next week, Abby, I don't know if you realise what I posted for next week, we're going to revisit the space scene again that we did last lockdown. Okay. Far. It's here, there, far. That's what we're doing at school. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Here, there, far. Why did I forget that? Here, there, far. So far, next week will be space.
I thought I might not be that.
I know, I'm easily confused. Right, I'm easily confused. Right, so I've done my letters, as I keep saying, and he's finished at last. So, next up, what you're going to do is you're going to add what are called serifs to your letters. Now, this is the font that I want you to try and use. So, this was actually on the page. So basically all it is adding tails, italics or tails to the edges of your letters. Okay, so I'll have, where's my L? My L is there, so I've got a top to go on, I've got a little tail coming outside, and I've got one going on the base of the L. I've got a J, which is there, so again it's just got one coming down and a tiny little one going across. And I've got C, which has got a big one there and a little one there. So this is called the serif point. What are you doing? He's so distracting today.
No, I'm just looking at it.
I know, but I just see you outside my eye. Look. Anyway, so this is the serif font. So if you're not sure what that is, look it up after we're finished, and basically just add tails onto everything. If you print it off, well done. Right, so my L is going to have, and again you're just doing this singly and sketching it lightly. So I'm just going to put a tail on my L. Do you want to see that? So you can see it. Okay. And then one going up.
Oh, it looks fine.
G. He's not hard, it's just got a top. But you're just doing it in singles just now. I didn't say to make it bubble. I said just to put the tops on. So that's my L done. Top and the tails. The G. Just going to come out a little bit. And in fact, I've noticed on this G that it's not got a line that comes out to the right side, so I'm just going to flip that one away. There's a small one there as well. So that's my J done. And the C. It's got one at an angle, and then it's got a small one that comes out like that. Okay, so that's your step 2. Just adding some serifs onto the edge of your letters. And try and do them light, because you're going to have to rub these out before you colour in. You don't want them coming through the pencil lines.
There isn't one there.
Okay, so don't do one there then, just do one on the top. Okay. Right, next up, step 3. Now what you're going to do is you're going to line the letters. So you're basically going to use that in the centre. So you're going to go around the whole shape of the letter. Now what will happen is your letters will start to overlap, but that's okay. Okay? Don't try and shorten it and try and squeeze it in. Actually have them overlapping. And it's up to you. Do you want the L to overlap? Do you want the J to overlap? What letter do you want to overlap? It won't honestly matter. It's your design. So I'll show you one letter and then I'll let you get on. So I'm just going to go around my L, again using a sketchy line. Keeping it quite graphical looking. So keeping those straight edges, those angles. And again, I'm doing a sketchy line. So that's the L done. Now eventually this will rub away, so you won't see that. And this is a great tip, by the way, for ever doing any type of bubble lettering. So this is the Serif Font that we're using, but if you're using any other font, this is a great skill to do. Just sketch out your letter like normal and then go around it all. Right, here you go, please. I don't know, it's up to you, you're the artist. Okay, Alex is asking what one you should do, overlapping, and I'm just saying it doesn't matter to me because I am not in charge of his artwork today. Now I'm going to show you the J in a minute, and I'll show you what I mean by overlapping. Okay, so that L is overlapping the J, and then the C. In now, so again I'm just going around that layer with my pencil sketchy line. Okay, so those letters are totally overlapping, but that's okay. Fab. So sketch around the letters that you've already drawn, lightly. I'm just waiting on Alex now. Take your time. If you want to do a full stop at the end of this, it's fine as well. You can always do that to make it a bit more interesting. That's totally up to you. Okay, I'm just going to put this down for now. Next up, you're going to need your black Sharpie. So if you've not got a Sharpie pen, what will happen is you will probably naturally put your hand in and you'll smudge the pen. So what I suggest you do is go and get a bit of paper towel or something and put that underneath your hand. It just stops, without sounding gross, the clamminess, the sweat on your hand dissolves the pen ink. So a bit of kitchen roll just stops that smudging. Also, what I recommend if you're not using a Sharpie is if you're right-handed, go left to right, and then you're not leaning across your writing. If you're a lefty, go right to left. So again, you're not leaning on top of wet ink. But we are fortunate enough to have a black Sharpie, so I'm just going to use that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around the block lines, not the inner lines, and where you might have a slight overlap. So if you imagine that J, it's tucked in behind the L, but where you would see that curved line in there, don't draw that. Okay, so you're just drawing the block shape. I'm just going to go over the top. I hope you can see, okay. Papers I can't really see. I'm just going to go over the top of those pencil lines now. Alright? Now you should warn you today that shading the letters, when it comes to the shading part, can take quite a while. So probably what I'll do, like I've been doing in a lot of the lessons, is I'll just shade one and then I'll show you how to do the rest of the steps and then leave you to get on with it. I don't really think you want to watch me shading in 3 letters for 25 minutes. I think you've probably got enough to be getting on with today. Okay, now if you make a bit of a boo-boo, like I've just done, table moved there, and my line went a wee bit squint, just extend your line a wee bit thicker, in case my G went a little bit wonky there. The joys of shading a table with someone else. It's just like being in class. This is what will happen. Somebody bangs an elbow while somebody's doing some work and it causes mayhem, or somebody tips over the water if we're painting and ruins somebody's work and causes mayhem. That's the joys of being at school. just going to hold them and see. So just take your time with this. It's absolutely no rush. But you want to do it right. Because if you make a mistake at this point, it can be quite obvious. Unless, of course, you turn it into part of your design, it could be that you have an extra bit in there. Right, just on the last bit now. And if you don't have a black Sharpie, by the way, big Gabby, your letters aren't really touching them.
Does it have to?
Well, it helps. So what I would do is actually maybe then have dots in there. You kind of want them to be touching. It doesn't matter though, like they don't have to be, but a graffiti artist normally will have, because when you're doing graffiti art you're normally using a spray can. So what happens is you do it a quick movement, you don't have time to stop to release the shutter and then press down again. So a graffiti artist does it in one swift move. They don't normally have time to sort of stop from the A, do the C, stop, do the G. So you would normally do it in AGC. So you wouldn't have a space in between the letters. Yeah, like when you do a signature as well. Okay, so we've got our letters all joined up in those spaces. And I've done my outline. So now what I'm going to do with my rubber is I'm going to rub out these lines. Now this is when if you were using an ink pen it might smudge. So if it's not completely dry, do not think of rubbing out the lines, otherwise it's just going to go and not look too nice. So just rub out all the pencil lines now. Sorry Alex, I'm shaking the table after I was complaining that you were shaking it. At least you're only on pencil work. It's not permanent pencil work. I'll do it gently. I'm going to have to set up 2 desks next time.
What if I just go the other end?
Yeah. Okay. Right, how you come? Yeah, but that dot is still hovering in between the G and the C. You want it to be touching the G and the C, so make it bigger. I'll show everyone at home in a second what you've been doing if that's okay.
Is this good?
That one's touching, yeah.
Let's go for the one.
So what you want to do is, I've just said to Alex there, he's done his letters but he's still got spaces in between them. You want to have them touching because if you were a graffiti artist you wouldn't stop in between letters to spray paint them. You would do it as one swift movement. So if you've done this, and you've got A space G C, it's going to cause a bit of problems. So you want to have a connective there. So even just putting some dots or a dash might work, or even like a line that leads to it. You don't want to have them all separate like that. Okay? Right, and then you've gone around the letters in black paint, rubbed out all your pencil lines so that they don't show up, and we're going to go on to shadows next. I'm just going to tick off that off my list. I've got a list. I do this in class. We normally have a list up on our whiteboard of all the steps because I just sometimes forget what's next, and then I miss out vital points. Okay. Well, that dot still isn't touching the G.
Okay. I have an idea. Okay.
So it needs to be bigger. Am I speaking Swahili today to you?
Yes.
You've been back at school.
I'm
I'm sure Mrs. Harvey doesn't have to say the same thing 3 times to you. Right, make it a big circle.
Yeah.
Right, and hurry up because I need you to outline that in black because everybody's waiting at home. Okay, so we've done our fonts. We don't need this anymore. I can get rid of that. Next up, what we're going to do is we are going to make this look 3-dimensional. So we're going to get some shadows behind the letters. Okay, now decide, is your light coming in from the right or is it coming in from the left? Once you've made that decision, bear that in mind. Don't switch sides. Okay, and what you have to do is on the underneath and to the opposite side of the light, you have to draw, I would say about a 45-degree angle, but it's up to you. You can change that any way you want. You have to draw at the top and the bottom of the letter a 45-degree angle. Okay, so my light here, if you imagine the light shining down, it would then cast a shadow on the opposite side. So what I'm going to show you at home just now, I'm just going to do it with pencil, just in case I make a mistake, is on the, now that side I did the opposite, so what I'm going to do this time is I'm just going to show you how I'm going to start that off. So at the L, I'm just going down, down, and every time you meet a corner, do the same thing, down, down. But the shadow, you okay? Yeah, the shadow only happens at the bottom and the right hand side of the corners. And we're doing it in pencil first, so it doesn't matter. Now be careful when you do your shadow on your L, because you want it to go over the G, because it's the front letter, okay? And all you do then is make it the same distance. Okay, good, could you go over the one pen, please? Is just do it the same distance, the 45-degree angle the whole way around. Now don't forget about that little sneaky bit there, which we'll tuck in behind. And this doesn't matter, you're going to colour this all in black, so don't worry if it goes a little bit skew with. Okay, but basically you're going to decide is the light coming in from the right or the left, and on the bottom corners and on the opposite side corners you're going to draw the same degree of line coming down. Okay, but you won't do that, although you won't be able to do it, you won't be able to do that on the top corners that go in behind the letters, so you can't now draw a line in there because that's behind. Okay, so you just mark it coming down, down, down. That one you can't do because it's coming in behind the letter. That one you can't do because it's coming in behind the letter. You can't do that one because it's coming in behind the letter. So it has to be the ones that are going into the negative space. The negative space is the bit around the letter. And now when I do my J, don't get confused now and do it the opposite. That will look really confusing for you. So for the J, I'm doing the same. So any bottom corners, I'm going to draw 45-degree lines. And I'm going to try and keep them the same size. Connect them. Now the bit that I find really tricky is a curve. So you want to try and work out roughly where the bottom of that curve is, and then you have to follow that shape round. So I find the J a bit hard. So you have to bring out a line roughly from the bottom and then follow it up to the top. Right, you're quite good at shadows, so I now want you to, don't forget your middle of your A. What I want you to now do is add shading onto the bottom of the shadows just by drawing. So at the bottom, so draw a 45-degree angle like that Mum's done. And then connect it.
Okay.
Copy that if you want. Okay, so we've done the J, and the last one is the C, which is again a curved shape. So I'm just going to bring it out slightly. Yeah, definitely use your pencil for this. Okay, so 45 degrees, bring it round. And you're going to colour this all in black, so don't worry if you make any mistakes. It honestly won't matter. Bottom of the letter there, bottom of the letter there, curve it round, bring it across. Okay, you don't look like you know what you're doing. Okay, so that's us. Right, I'm just going to help us lordship. Yeah, you do know what you're doing. You're doing it. Yeah. So there, that needs there as well. Okay. Now, you're not going to believe what we do next. We'll just go around that again, and then the shadows, the block shadow, I just want you to colour it in black. Just add shadow. Sorry, the letters. Just along the bottom. Along the bottom. Where? Don't get confused. How you meant to do it where? Show me. There, so you're doing the same thing. Look, bring it 45 degrees from there, and then bring it down. Okay. Bring 45 degrees out there, bring it down. Alright? Good job. Don't get frustrated. If you're really struggling with this, don't worry about it. Just draw black lines around it all. Okay, don't honestly worry about shadow. It's not a lesson on shadowing today. And this is a very, very technical thing. When my P7's got to high school, this will be something you'll do in graphic communications. Yeah, perfect. This will be something you'll do in graphic communications, and a graphic communications teacher will play throttle me right now because I'm probably telling you all the wrong information about how to do baby shading. Okay, that's L done. So you see it's coming down at 45 degrees, and then I've just joined up those dots. Now if the light was coming this way, the angle would change, which is what Mrs. C's one that I did last night does, the angle changes. So 45, 45, and bring it up. There'll be no shading on the top of the letters, there'll just be a single line there. And if you really, really don't know what you're doing, just on the underneath of the letters, just make the line wider. If you really, really don't know what you're doing and you don't feel confident. I just had a brain freeze there, I couldn't remember if my L was the letter I wanted to be at the front, but I do. Couldn't quite remember what I was doing there. And the connective lines, the 45-degree lines, actually vanish, most of them. So I've just been rabbiting on about doing 45-degree lines, but most of you will probably have missed them now. Now, I've just noticed I've made a mistake there. I've not done the top of that letter. That looks a bit strange. I did it here, did shadow on that bit, but didn't do on that bit. So just double check that all of the angles have been done. All of the edges as well. And as I say, this is great for when you're doing straight shapes. As soon as you put a curve in there, it becomes really, really tricky. So this C is going to cause me a few problems. Okay. Right. That should be me. Apart from, again, I've just noticed I did the right hand side of the C, but I've not done the right hand side of the curve, so I just need to put in a little bit of shading down there. That's better. Right, I hope you're all okay at home. This is getting quite tricky, but you'll be pleased to know that's the trickiest bit of the whole thing. Once you've done this, you're done. G looks a bit odd there, doesn't it? Because I've not done the right hand side of it and that slight underneath bit there. So all I'm going to do is just pop in a little bit of shade in there. That's made a difference. Just a little bit there. You okay? Bearing up? It's hard, I know it's hard. You're doing a great job. Doing a fabulous job, in fact. Don't forget that bit there. There. Okay. Right, I'm going to leave you off for a few seconds. I think you're probably doing that at home just now, and he is still working away hard. So we have added shadows so the light will hit them. We've filled it in black, or a colour. I should have said that actually. It doesn't have to be black. Your outlines could have been navy, it could have been blue, it could have been any colour that you wanted. It could have been burgundy, whatever your favourite colour is. We went for black just because it's what I have kicking about the house. Right, if you've got any pencil lines showing, this is the time to get rid of them. So I'm just going to give that a quick rub. Doing up on these drawing things. Get that nice and neat and tidy. And we're going to move on to the fun bit. I think we're going to add the colour. But can you just grab that black Sharpie, just colour it in shadows now? I think you've done them all right. I wouldn't worry about it too much. Right. Okay, just do it as a line. Just do a solid line underneath the dot. I did tell you curved lines are really hard because you've not got the corner to bring the angle out at. Hello Sam. Hi Sam, don't worry, I know you guys were in assembly this morning, so honestly don't stress. I'll post it onto Facebook later and I'll put it straight onto YouTube after. You haven't missed much anyway, just me blethering, which won't surprise you. But don't worry. And don't forget, you don't have to do this for your task today. If you want to do a Keith Haring or if you want to do a skyline, you can do a skyline as well. This was just an optional extra. When I ask kids at the beginning of the year, I always ask them what they want to do throughout the year. This is always something else to do. It's graffiti art. And it's great, but it's a lot harder than it looks. I think they think I'm just going to come in with all just spray cans and just let them spray the school. It takes a lot of skill to be a good graffiti artist. It takes a lot of skill, lots of practice. It's not as easy as it looks. Right, so I've rubbed out my pencil lines. And while Alex is colouring that in, I'm going to speak to you guys at home a little bit about the colours I want you to choose. So this is something that you probably will see a lot in an art classroom. I've just noticed that the light is coming through from the other side of that, which means that I am letting you see the lovely drawing that Mirren did all over the back of that this morning when she found it on the table. Sorry, I should have printed it off again. Don't with my hand and it'll make any difference. A little bit. Right, so this is a colour wheel. And the reason I want you to think about a colour wheel is when you choose your colours today, to get a nice graduation in the colour, it's really helpful if you choose colours that are close together on the colour wheel, so you naturally get a nice blend. If you go blue, red and yellow, it's going to be hard for you to get that natural blend, okay? So whatever colours you choose, and I've said 3 or 4, if you've got 4 great, 3 would work well. Whatever 3 colours you choose, try and have them close together on the colour wheel. If you're not sure what it is, I've posted it again on the Facebook page for you to see, or just type up colour wheel in Google and loads will come up. So my colours that I'm going to choose for this, I'm going to go quite random with this. What did I do last night? Let's do the opposite of last night. So I'm going to go for strong colours so you can see what gold. I'll go for green. Oh, we did that last time. I'll go for red, and I'll go for purple, and I'll go for blue. The blue's a bit tricky, it's like people at work. No, that's brown. Yes. Okay, so I've gone for red, a violet, some purple, and an indigo purple. Okay, so that's my colours that I'm going to go for. Right, so I've chosen my 3 colours that are close to each other on the colour wheel. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in my head, work out, is this the lighter way, red, purple into indigo, or would you say that the indigo into purple into red is the lighter way? Go that way. So choose your lighter colour first. Make sure it's nice and sharp. So give it a quick sharpen. That's nice. Okay, so there's a quick wee sharpen. That's a nice pencil sharpener you've got for Christmas.
Didn't you give it to me?
I did give it to you. Well, Santa did.
It's kind of the...
I gave it to you. It's as hard as this one, but it's not as effective. Right, so I've got nice sharp colouring pencils, so I'm going to go light into dark. So the red, which then goes into the purple, which then goes into the blue. So, what I'm going to do first of all is at the top of my letter, using small pencil strokes, and this time round, not sketching, actually angling your pencil like you're doing your handwriting in school, I want you to press quite hard with your pencil and do small pencil strokes. Okay, get that colour nice and strong right at the top. It's really, really small strokes. We're not going full length, we want quite small strokes. As we travel down the letter, you're going to loosen your pressure. Now we've got a really wonky table here at home, so I've actually put a big bit of paper underneath our paper just to get rid of those bumps. So you might need to do that one as well. So as I go down the letter, I'm just going to start loosening up now, loosening my pressure with my pencil, and keeping my pencil strokes in the same direction, you'll notice. One direction. They splat? Well, did they announce they splat? I don't know if they ever announced that they were splitting up. I think they just disappeared off the face there. Right, so at the bottom, what's happened is I've just put in a little bit of light grit. So see, we've gone really, really hard. Lighter, 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 lighter. So pressing really hard at the top. Little lines, close together, in a row, going in the same direction. Okay? Next up, what you're going to do is you're just going to choose your second colour. So for me, it's going to be purple. And where your red started to become lighter, I now want you to press with the purple on top of that. Okay, and again, little lines in the same direction, going up and down the page. Why are you practicing on that? You just assume that you're going to suck at this. And again, it's just going to go down the page, the whole way down until you get really light down at the bottom. Got a bump in the table that keeps appearing, so I'm just trying to even it out in case you're wondering why I keep moving my page. Okay, right, so the red's going into the purple. Now, a little tip is get the colour that you just used first of all, or before that, and then where your gradation happens, just go back over the top of it with that lighter colour. just helps that blend much nicer. Okay, next up I'm going to go for my purple. So again, where I stopped with the purple, where it stops being strong, I'm now just going to apply that. Again, quite hard at the beginning. And then I'm going to bring it all the way down. Now this time, because it's the last colour, I'm not going to release the pressure. I'm going to make it the same strength the whole way down. So press quite hard down at the bottom. And don't get rid of that lilac, that purple colour, or whatever your middle colour is you're going to need it for blending. Good thing is, because of the black outlines as well, you can actually colour in over the top of those, they won't show up. So I'm just going now to blend that, get that purple back, and I'm just going to place that on top of the purple, and that just fills in any little spaces that you might have missed, and also helps to blend that. Okay, so there we go. Got a really, really nice blend. I love that colour scheme actually. So that's one letter done. Two more. Okay, right, you get going please.
I don't know what colours to use.
Well, what's the lighter one on the colour wheel? What colours have you chosen first of all?
I've not chosen anything.
Right, well, could you choose our colour just to start with? Yeah, right, what's next to yellow, either right or left? It won't matter what direction you go.
Okay.
It's like or orange or a light green, yeah. So choose orange, and then what's next to orange on the colour wheel?
Red.
Red.
So you have red, so I can't
Is
use
there not two reds?
No.
Just use the choosing one that I've got. I did thought we had two reds looked at. Right, give me a second and I'll quickly do a red at the top. You get started with yellow. You don't need the red yet anyway. That's your last colour. Yeah, so do yellow. Do a band, yeah, rub out your pencil ends and then do your yellow, a band of yellow on the top. This lesson's going on a bit, isn't it? I'm going to speed up. Goodness gracious me, it's 40 minutes in now. Right, I'm going to speed up a bit. This might not be the best colouring job in the world, but I need to get on to the next bits, okay?
It speaks all over for people
Yeah.
watching.
Yeah, exactly. Well, my guys have been in assembly this morning, so they'll probably not be joining until later. I'm just going to speed this up, I know, because I need to post this as well. That's a really good point, Alex, and I did say I would post at 11 o'clock. Okay, so a band of red at the top, which has then gotten lighter. The pressure's gotten lighter, so the tone of it, the shade of it's gotten lighter down the letter. Okay, there you go. Right, so that's the red down. I'll put it back now. Actually, I'll leave it for my blender. Get my purple in there.
It's actually alright.
What do you mean it's actually alright? Of course it's alright. You've listened.
Just realised it's actually kind of easy to
Right, it's easy.
use this.
It's all about pressure. When people colour in class, they just always use the same pressure, but you can get a great variety of tone just by loosening your pressure.
I just even bother doing yellow.
And if you overlap colours as well, you get different new colours, different tones, different shades. Just like if you were painting, you would mix colours.
Okay. I don't think I've got this confidence to.
And that lilac down over there. Yeah, I'm nearly done with these two. Hello, you're doing this for your schoolwork today. Oh, lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely.
It's alright actually. Okay.
You're the small one in the picture. Oh, do you know what? The picture's so far away I can't see it. Now, I'm assuming you're not Janet, so pop your name on for me and I'll say a good hello to you. I can't see the picture. My iPad's so far away and your picture's away down there, but when I come off, that's the first thing I'm going to do. No, you've got work to do. When I get off of here, the first thing I'm going to do is look at your picture. See how pretty you are, or handsome you are. Right, nearly finished, so I've done that blend. Alex thankfully isn't used to the red, so I'm just going to go over where the colours meet again. And it just fills in all those spaces. And it just makes it blend a little bit nicer, it doesn't look as patchy. Oh, he's happy. Everyone, he's happy.
What?
Alana. Alana, it's nice to meet you. What school are you at, Alana? I don't teach in Alana, so you're not with me. And I don't think there's an Alana at Abernethy, so you're not Abernethy.
There isn't. Pretty sure. I don't know. Might be in school.
Have you got the purple? No, you've not got the purple. Right, so I've done my, on the both the letters now, the red going into the light purple, and I'm just going to go for this dark.
I'm
who's joined us from Latham recently. And here's another interesting fact about Latham. I used to teach at Latham when you were in my time. It was a while ago now. But I did. I used to teach at Latham. It was one of my favourite schools. I've got a boy in primary 7 called Caden who's joined us from Latham, and one of my girls from primary 2, Millie, started at Latham on Monday. So there's a lot of Latham connections. And I know Mrs. White very well. I used to work with her when I worked at Newlands. She's a fabulous teacher. Yes. Oh, so Mrs. Wilson's in your class. Right, there you go then. LGC, all blended, looking superb. I didn't think I would get this done during the lesson because I thought it would take me too long, but blethering to you, Alana's taking my mind off it. Right, don't forget to go over the top of that blend just with your lighter colour, and it fills in all those spaces. Okay, it doesn't show up on top of the dark colour because it's not got the power to do it, but it does. Alex, that's looking amazing. Right, next up, I'm going to start speaking a little bit quicker. I'm aware of the fact that this is going on a bit. Right, so we've done the lightest of the darkness, we've done the small pencil strokes, reducing the pressure on the way down. We've applied the next colour further down, woohoo. We have blended using the lighter colour. We've remembered that keeping our pencil sharp, we're using small strokes, and we're going in one direction. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, yours is looking really nice. So you do orange next?
Yeah.
Right, well I talked to everyone about finishing touches. Now, that could be it. Okay, so you could box it or you could do the wall as it is. That could be you done. But if you want to know how I did these finishing touches, it's really, really simple. First of all, what I did was I drew a bubble following the shape of the whole word around the outside. So, I'm just going to do it quite quickly. Right, you go with your orange now.
Because I kind of forgot what you said.
Right, so you need to start around about there and do the same thing. Press hard first. Press hard first and then get lighter. I showed you. Yeah, look at that blend. It's working already, Al.
I can kind of see the edge.
Should have told you that. You don't like being called that, do you?
It's alright.
Right. No, Alexander, you'll get that one across. Right, so we've done a bubble the whole way around it, and what I'm going to do is we're going to imagine that it's paint that's kind of dripping down the wall. So at the bottom, we're just going to put in some paint splotches so it looks like it's really just been done, it's fresh. So I teach, here's some more juicy gossip for you, Lana. I don't know if Adam's on today. I teach Mrs. Mollison's boy. He's in my primary 5 class, he's a great kid. Right, so that looks like it's kind of dribbling down the wall, maybe have a few wee droplets of paint as well. And you maybe are now thinking, oh, that's a bit messy, Mrs. C, so what to do next is naturally get your pen and go around it. Now, I'm actually going to use my thin Sharpie this time because it's quite fiddly to get those little drops done. Brilliant. Now, get your red. And don't forget to use the yellow in between the two colours to blend it. Can I just show them just now? This is Alex's. He's going yellow and orange, so I'm just reminding him to get the yellow in there now to blend that, and then he's going to put some red in there. That's looking really good for somebody that didn't think you were going to today. Okay, so I'm just going to go over the top of this whole shape, and then I'll rub out those pencil ends again.
That's actually really cool.
You could use that. You know what you could use that for? You know you like doing your planets?
Cool.
That'd be nice if I for
Really
that.
cool.
It's nice, isn't it?
I'm
I'm just going to go around this bubble shape, if that's shown up at home. Where the droplets have appeared, don't do the lines in between.
Wait, so do I do the hardest one?
Yeah, you do it hard and then just because it's the bottom, because it's not blending into anything, just keep it solid now. Okay. A bump. Oh no, the table. I've just done exactly the same thing. It's not the best table for art, is it? If you were at school, high school, you would be in a graphic communication suite right now and have lovely tables there. Often in class I see kids stretching on top of their work to get to the top of it when they're doing detail. Just turn the paper out. So you're not leaning across and smudging all that pencil work that you've just done. Okay. And that's looking cool now. Now one last thing for the bubble, the splodgy bit, is you're probably going to want to have that again looking like it's shaded. So on the underneath, just go around maybe a bit heavier, or maybe just draw it with a thicker line even. You don't need to do it on top unless you want it to, but you could do it underneath. And maybe again down one side. So I guess because my letters have got the shading on your left, my right hand side, I might just also make my shadow go around there on the same side. So I'm just going to go over that line again, and this is good if you have had a wee bit of a kink in your line when you were drawing it. You can just doubling the line ends up disappearing it. Okay. Right, there we go. Now, if I had all the time in the world, which I don't today, I would blend that, just like I did on this one last night. But I don't have all the time in the world. I've got things to be getting on with, and you've got things to be getting on with. So I will leave this plain today. I will rub out, however, that's amazing. I will rub out, however, those lines. And what I'm going to leave you with is showing you quickly how to do the brick effect on the wall. Okay? So I'm rubbing out those bubble lines. Tick that off my list. We've drawn the outline in pencil, we've added the paint drops, we've outlined it in pen and shadow. Now, apply pencil using the same process. I'm not going to do that, but you can do that at home if you want to. Right, bricks next. Now, we did brick work a few weeks ago. I can't remember what it was for. Can you remember what it was for? Maybe it was Paris. Maybe Paris. So, when you have bricks, they tend to be staggered. Otherwise, if you were to have a windy day, they would just fall down. So staggering them makes strength, okay? So if you imagine, just put it on the back of here, you would have a brick there, and then in the middle of that brick, you would have the edges of the next row. So this is how a bricklayer would build their wall. Now on the next row, this brick would be in line with the one 2 steps above. So that line skips a line and then comes down. That line skips a line and then comes down. So it might be an idea before you do your brick wall and you spoil all this, to have a wee practice at how you would make bricks. Okay, so they're staggered. And they always have like grout or cement in between them as well, so they don't necessarily have that straight line like that. Okay, so I'm going to do it in pencil in case anyone can see.
Okay.
I didn't do it in pencil last night when I did this one, and I did make a mistake.
So I'll use the pen.
Yeah. So I'm just going to start in the middle here. So I'm just going to draw a brick shape. Curve the edges, keep it a bit more natural. You can see that very well. Bless you, darling. And it's got to be the same width as that one. I'm just going to draw the next one. Okay, so we've got 2 bricks there. Now in the space in between, there will just be a full brick. Now you might not see it all because of my graffiti and because of the edge of the paper, but that's alright. And once you've got 1 or 2 in, it helps you form the rest of it. There we go. Okay, so that's starting to build up. So then the next row at the bottom will have that space, this space, because you're probably all fed up of colouring in, I'm not going to ask you to colour in these bricks. You can just maybe shade them in with a bit of the grey pencil that you're holding just now. Okay? You've enjoyed this today, haven't you? I'm not going to lie, Alex didn't want to take part this morning, he couldn't. I think you just weren't really in the mood, were you?
Yep.
But I put on my I put on my please eyes, and here you are.
Did you?
See, that's starting to come together. Now I'm going to outline this in black pen in a second. I just was a bit scared that I was going to make a mistake because this is trickier than it looks to line up all these bricks in order. You could use a ruler for this, by the way, if you do want them to be perfect. I quite like them looking a little bit all over the place though. But if you want it to be, if you're a bit of a perfectionist, you might want to get a ruler.
I don't want to do that. I
lockdown's changed you.
Is it really?
Alex used to like being perfect. See, I've just made a mistake there that if I did this in pen, I would have get rid of. Right, brick wall done. Going to outline them in black just to help them pop out. And don't worry about keeping them nice and straight. And as you're going around with the bricks, also think about having a little bit of texture on them. So maybe have a few cracks in them. Maybe just add in a few lines. You're going to have to get your rubber out in a second and rub out all those pencil lines so they don't show up. Which I'll not worry with you with. Have a mistake like I've just done, just double the line, make it thicker, always helps. I'm going to speed up a bit to get this finished because I don't really want this going on for an hour. You'll be falling asleep at home. Although to be fair, if we were in class right now, this would be 50, a lesson normally is 50 minutes. So this would be a lesson. Because I would leave the colour in bit as a finishing off task. I would not make you colour this in as I wander around asking if you're okay.
One layer done.
Well, when you're done.
No, like one layer.
Okay. Awesome. You may want to make your brick line even thicker than that. It's totally up to you. What is it? So is yours. So what's everybody else got on for the rest of the day? Alex, you've got a lot of writing to do. In fact, I'm not going to lie, he's not done any work yet today. This is the first thing he's done today. So we're going to have a busy afternoon. I've got my seesaw to look after. I've got primary 4, 5, 6 and 7 seesaw to look after today, so I'm going to be doing that. I've got to pick Mirren up from nursery at 1 o'clock. Because of course primary 1 to 3 went back to school and Mirren's at nursery just now, so it's a very quiet house today. Yes. You don't mean that. I do feel a lot more relaxed doing this, not having Harris and Mirren in the house, I have to say. Because doing these online lessons was always quite tricky when you won't see it, it's behind the screen, but there's a glass door there. And often I would be in the middle talking and then you would just see a little face over there. So it is a little bit more relaxing doing it, knowing that you've not got little people.
Harris comes over with the iPad like 10 minutes after we start the lesson. It's like, can I come in? And it's literally 10 minutes.
Harris always has to come in and get a drink and a snack. Because we're in the kitchen, this is our kitchen room. Yeah, so Harris. Yeah, so that was the dining table in the kitchen. So Harris would always come in because he would need a snack, and yeah.
It's annoying.
And even if they were upstairs playing, I could still hear footsteps on the ceiling. Well, not on the ceiling, on the floor. So I always knew that there was something going on. But yeah. So yeah, we've got a busy day today once this is all finished. Okay, wall's finished. Now just to finish that off, I would grab your pencil, there's my pencil, there it is, and I would just randomly just shade it at the corners, put in a little bit of tone. I'll just do it on one brick, show you what I mean, and then it'll disappear. You don't have to do it up and down in the same direction this time. It could be quite relaxed, it could be quite sketchy. Just gives a little bit of texture to your brick, makes it look a bit more, a little bit more real. Okay. So just adding a little bit of shade onto all of those bricks will just help that stand out. And that's us. I'm sorry it went on for so long, I didn't expect it to today. I hope you all found that okay. I've got a funny feeling the tricky bit was the shading, but just remember, underneath the letters, pick a side, a wee bit of shading on that side as well. I said 45-degree angle, it doesn't have to be exactly 45 degrees, and to be honest, it doesn't even need to be that at all, because as you can see, once you shade it in, you don't really see the angles very easily. So yeah, so add a little bit of shading on those bricks if you want to. You didn't even need to do a brick wall, I just thought I would show you how you could.
Wait, what?
And if you want to, you could obviously have coloured that in as well. Okay? So yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much for joining me. if you enjoyed that, next week we will be on Facebook again at 10:30, doing a spacing lesson that we actually did in the last lockdown. So if you don't want to take part, I will not be offended, but this one is looking forward to doing it again, and it is a lesson that I think is quite fun to do. Shush. Right. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking part. I will go and slip this now onto Facebook and onto the YouTube and onto the YouTube page. That's a tongue twister. For you to catch up with later on. And I can't wait to see what these look like. Don't forget to send me photos.
Bye.
Stick your hand in someone's.
Bye bye.